right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy right here on the Fans Only Sports Network. I am your host, Chet, and of course, as always, my counterpart, Duffy, joined by him to talk some football, man. It's been a very interesting week 17, to say the least. A lot of great games that we'll get into, but Duffy, how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, man. I was just at this kid Chet's house. We were filming a nice little project. So I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good to get into it today.
Yeah, and on top of that, this is the first podcast episode we have for Unapologetic in the year 2023. Happy New Year to all of you out there. Hopefully the start of the year will bring a lot of productive measures and a lot of resolutions that you'll bring forward throughout the rest of the year and hopefully change your life for the better.
Yeah, well, let's get after it this year. Be productive, be lit, be safe.
Absolutely. Always keep moving forward. That's what we look to in our lifetime. But let's get right into moving forward into this segment. We'll move into the Patriots to start off. Patriots fell to the Cincinnati Bengals on Christmas Eve last Saturday. Had to come back into Gillette to take on a division rival, the Miami Dolphins. Fortunately enough for the Patriots, Tua Tagovailoa out with a concussion injury, so he did not play in this one. This definitely gave the team some hope. It also gave them some hope that they were playing at home. And this was a crucial game for the Patriots because they need to win out if they want to get into the postseason. Miami was in the playoff picture, but after yesterday, they've been pushed back into the hunt. The Patriots are currently in that seventh and final seed with a 23-21 victory over Miami at home. It was definitely a very sloppy back and forth kind of a game, but the Patriots took care of business and managed to walk away with a win. And we're sitting at 8-8 now.
Sitting at 8-8, and who would have thought the Patriots would be in control of their own destiny after some of the games that they've lost the last few weeks? But hey, Patriots 8-8, Dolphins losing 5 games in a row. Team was 8-3 on pace. If they don't make the playoffs, one of the biggest collapses ever by a team that didn't make the playoffs. But hey, I mean, there's one tall task ahead. It's Buffalo. Buffalo this week. It's going to be a crazy game in Buffalo. Scheduled at 1 o'clock. I really thought that game would get flexed.
Yeah.
In a late afternoon slot, but they didn't opt for it. Buffalo's still fighting for the number 1 seed. But New England, I mean, the resilience in this team all year, it's been inconsistent, but I think yesterday was a good testament to what this team's able to do. Flashes of how the Patriots were last year in the fourth quarter and in close games, but offense looked sloppy, really sloppy in the first half. They kind of picked up the rhythm in the second half a little bit, but it was still sloppy. That first drive, though, looked really good. Finished off with the Kendrick Bourne touchdown, and that was the only points of the first half. Game really turned around when Duggar got that pick 6.
That was actually Tyquan Thornton.
Tyquan Thornton, excuse me. Thank you. I had a feeling I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
But Kyle Duggar got the pick 6. 8th time the Patriots defense has scored this year. They also have the most interceptions in the NFL with 18 now after yesterday's game. But my biggest thing about this game that made me upset was Patriots, they didn't cover the spread. Good teams win, great teams cover. And, with a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter, Belichick runs the silliest 4th down play I've ever seen in my life. Mac Jones just running 10 yards backwards, and then Dolphins get a, must-have touchdown. Onside kick goes to the Pats. Pats win the game. But yeah, really disappointed me from Belichick. I was pretty pissed off, and I would have been really mad if I was still alive in fantasy and had Nick Folk as my kicker there. One of the worst 4th down plays I've ever seen in my life. Kind of sums up the 2022 Pats. But a win's a win. It was a good win.
Yeah.
Pats controlled most of the second half. Reeled off, I believe it was 16 unanswered points at one point. So
yeah,
it's a good win.
I think one of the biggest plays that really pissed me off on this one, Patriots were up 7-0. I believe it was in, let me go check the score sheet real quick. It was in the the first quarter going into the second. And the Dolphins were set up on 4th and 1, and they hard counted at the line, ended up taking a delay of game, getting pushed back 5 yards. Well, actually, no, they were going to go for it, and then they threw a flag, false start. They go to punt the ball. The ball gets punted. They run into the kicker. They gain the 5 yards back. They go for it again. 3 straight fourth down plays, and the Patriots give up the first down and eventually give up the touchdown that came later in that second quarter. That, to me, really upset me because, hey, I mean, the defense made up for it at the end of the day, but that's just part of this team that's really kind of annoyed is like the discipline has been a little off at times. And that was one of those fourth downs. You know they're going to go for it. The season's on the line for them just as much as it is for us at the end of the day for the Patriots. So that was something that, to me, like, shouldn't have happened. They should have gotten the ball back. They should have taken the momentum and either kicked a field goal or got a touchdown on the next drive. The momentum was in New England's side of the field after Miami made a mistake, and he gave it right back to him, and they took advantage of it. And this defense had given up a lot of third downs on that drive until eventually they allowed the score to occur. So my thing is with the Patriots, they have shown that they can be competitive in games because they have a defense. This defense has proven that if it were on any other team that has take this Patriots defense, put it on the Detroit Lions, immediately probably Super Bowl contenders, or at least 10 contenders for the NFC. That would be something to talk about. But the thing is, Belichick is kind of proving to the league in a way, hey, I can have a very inconsistent and lackluster offense, and I could still potentially make the postseason with it. That's kind of what we're seeing this year. It's kind of coming down to, is it going to pay off? Because this was a sloppy back and forth. Eventually, the offense got back in the saddle, but it took a play from the defense to make it. You can't be relying on your defense to always be there to bail you out, because that's been the tale of this New England Patriots team, is the defense will bail them out, and then they get back in the game right after. And we see sparks from the offense, productive marches, but then that spark's gone the next drive. It's all over the place. And at the end of the day, I'm just sitting there watching the TV just being like, dude, you did it on the last drive. Why can't you replicate that again? And I guess this is what we see from middle of the pack teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's the territory the Pats are in right now as a middle of the pack team. I mean, if we go the postseason, the Pats probably going to be the worst team in the field. And I think a lot of it has to do with that offense. Like you mentioned, Belichick proving they can just win with a good defense this year. But this is definitely going to hurt the Pats in the future. For the next year or so, maybe. I mean, being out of this rhythm, they have a lot to prove next year. And the Pats offense was really good last year. They were a really efficient unit. They moved the ball down the field really well, quite often. And maybe we just thought that because of the way Cam Newton was moving the ball down the field the year before.
Yeah.
But it was still a very efficient group. And this year we see with the coaching staff being consistency there, calling plays, and who's at the helm doing that. I think that's what's kind of haunted the Patriots this year. It's a miracle somehow this team has 8 wins this year, to be completely honest, especially losing 4 of their last 6 games.
Yeah, and I think what will probably happen next season, there is rumors that the Patriots were talking to Bill O'Brien last season to come back to the team and be the OC. He's still in Alabama. I think they were just waiting for his 2-year deal to expire with the Crimson Tide and then potentially try and make a run for him this upcoming offseason, because offensive coordinator has been the biggest issue for this team this year. We saw it every single game. And if we get somebody like that, that'll definitely spark some hope. But I know at the end of the day, we've said it before, it's got to be a true number 1 receiver that Mac needs to really, some absolute stud that can go downfield and make all those big plays happen and just be there. Because right now there's a lot of weapons on this unit, but they're not the guy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No one's the guy on that team. We don't have a true number 1, like you said. Haven't in quite a few years, honestly. Can you make the argument that Edelman wasn't a true number 1 for a while? So,
I would say if the guy left when Gronkowski retired, that was definitely the guy that really kept the team together at the end of the day. The one superstar the Patriots could rely on in big moments, because that's what great teams need, is a guy who can do that. The Patriots don't have that, unfortunately.
No. It's been a while too, so.
Yeah. And I think to be honest, Teddy Bridgewater ended up exiting this game at one point. Skylar Thompson came in, did end up throwing a touchdown to bring the game very close at the end of it. But to be honest, I think if Bridgewater stayed in this game, Duffy, I think the Patriots might have lost, in my opinion, because he was moving the ball efficiently.
If Skylar Thompson started the game?
He ended the game because Bridgewater got hurt.
Are you saying wait, who are you saying if Bridgewater
if Bridgewater stayed in the game and didn't get hurt, I'm pretty sure we might have lost yesterday.
That's a unique opinion. I mean, you gotta look at the play that he got hurt on was the pick 6.
Yeah.
And the Pats weren't really moving the ball too well either, but the Dolphins weren't necessarily either. They're kind of the same boat as the Pats. They had the good drive at the beginning of each half, and kind of just didn't look the same after that. But still put together 3 touchdown drives. It's a very good offense that they play in, and I think if they had a competent backup quarterback, which is something that they might have to invest in for next year with the way Tua's been getting injured, is they can win a lot of games. I mean, that's a good team, the Dolphins. They're a really well built team, and when Tua hasn't played, they haven't won a game. It's the 4th time he hasn't started a game, and they're 0-4 in those games. So
yeah.
I think even if Bridgewater finished the game, they wouldn't have won the game. Pat's defense was heating up. They got back-to-back picks.
Yeah.
That Jonathan Jones pick on the sideline was a beauty.
It really was. It really was. That's when Thompson checked in.
Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, that was a great play too. That really was. And I mean, looking at the stats in this one, Mac only threw for 203 on the day, threw for 2 tutties, and one of them going to Tyquan Thornton, the other one going to Jacoby Myers. Myers' touchdown was definitely like a good solidifying score. I liked that throw. I liked that catch in the end zone, just putting in a spot. And it was a good matchup too for Jacoby Myers. He had a linebacker set up to cover him. That was just poor defensive scheming by the Miami
They played by
Dolphins.
Mac, getting that snap off because they certainly weren't ready for it.
No, not at all. Not at all. So at the end of the day, the Patriots did make the right moves. And with that, they improved to 500 once again. They sit at 8-8. As you stated before, they control their own destiny. A win next week against Buffalo means they're in. We're going to talk about Buffalo in just a moment because they need a win just as bad as the Patriots do. They really do. Because as of right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are up on them by a game. If the Bills win tonight, they retake that number 1 seed. However, they needed Kansas City to lose this week, and they needed to win this week in order to clinch the number 1 seed. If the Bills win tonight, they do not clinch the number 1 seed. They are still tied with the Chiefs. They own that tiebreaker. So if they do win, that could be a problem for the Patriots going forward.
Yeah,
I think either way, if they win or lose, because the Bills need the next game to clinch the postseason, have it all go through Buffalo.
Yeah, this is going to be a crazy game, tonight's game, Buffalo and Cincinnati.
That's a good segue. You take it away, Duffy. I'll let you take it away into Buffalo, Cincinnati, Monday Night Preview.
Really thought the NFL would wait till this game was done for them to flex next week's schedule, but Patriots Bills will be 1:00 on Sunday, next Sunday. Like I mentioned earlier, they should have put this in the 4:00 slate. I mean, with some other good AFC matchups.
I mean, they put the Packers-Lions in the Sunday night slot, but that's a really good game right there.
It is, but I mean, if the Seahawks beat the Rams, it doesn't even matter. It's just the Packers playing the playoffs or the Lions playing spoils. I think they should have waited. But, hey, it's going to be a good game tonight. Bills and the Bengals, 2 really good quarterbacks, and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen meeting for the first time, actually. And if the Bengals win this game, they clinch the AFC North. And it would make sense as to why Lions Packers is in the prime time slot.
Yeah.
But the Bills win. They're in the driver's seat to be the number 1 seed. They need a Chiefs loss if they lose tonight, Buffalo. So either way, I mean, the Bills are going to bring the pedal to the metal next week against New England in Buffalo in front of their home fans. It's going to be dangerous territory for the Patriots. And either way, I mean, we're gonna get a good read on what the Bills like to do in early January, I guess, for next week's game. But
hey, but you know what? You know what's gonna really suck? And me and my coworker were talking about it last night.
What?
It sucks because if the Patriots still beat the Bills, or if the Bills still clinch the number 1 seed, if we beat the Bills, we're gonna have to play them the next week in the wild card round.
Yeah,
because if the Chiefs win, they clinch the number 1 seed.
Depends how tomorrow goes.
Tonight
goes with the Bengals Bills because we might play the Bengals. Maybe I was talking about this with Ben. What if the Bills just let the Pats win just so they can embarrass us next week?
Exactly. That's the thing. That's what could totally happen because that's what happened last season. We got completely demolished in Buffalo. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll get into the Monday Night Preview, but to finish off the remarks, Patriots defeat Dolphins 23-21 in Gillette. They control their own destiny, and they finally finally break Miami's 4-0 win streak against the Patriots that started back in 2020. Belichick finally gets the win he deserved at home against the Miami Dolphins. So moving into Monday Night Football, as you said, Duffy, Bengals need a win tonight to secure the AFC North. Bills need a win tonight in order to continue to push for that number one seed in the AFC. So, and as you said, first time these two have met. And so far, Joe Burrow is 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, who arguably is the best quarterback in football right now. I agree with that statement. And tonight, we get to see these two face off. They never faced each other in college either. So that's something that's cool to see right now is these two take on each other in prime time. And I don't know like how this game could go. It could be a defensive slugfest that ends in like the 20, like the teens and the 20s, or it could just be a complete shootout. And I think that's something we could expect is these teams are going to ball out. Josh Allen's going to be on his A game. He's proven that in every single game he's played that he's going to put up yards. And then Burrow, he's no stranger to that either. He puts up yardage every time he steps onto the field. I just think we're going to see these quarterbacks sling it, and it's going to be one for the books.
And this one will be one for the books. You know, the two great quarterbacks, two of the best young quarterbacks, not even just the AFC, but in the entire league. So I'm excited for the first matchup in Cincy. So Pro has a slight advantage. Got both the Chiefs and Bills in his home turf this year. But, you know, the battle of gunslingers and the battle of these two bright young stars, I'm taking Josh. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills. And I think Cincy and Baltimore are going to fight for the AFC North next week. Like the Bills, they're 2.5-point favorites right now. They've just been clicking. I mean, the Bills have won 6 games in a row. Bengals have won 7 games in a row. These are two extremely hot teams, so one has to lose tonight. I'm going with the better squad, the team that wants the home field advantage more, the team that played the better football for most parts of the year. And, you know, the team that's been more consistent, that's the Buffalo Bills. I think this is the best team in the AFC. I think they're going to prove it tonight with a win against the Bengals. And if the Bengals do win this game, you know, we're really looking at a Bengals team that is in shape for number one seed and is in shape just beat the Chiefs and the Bills in the same season. Oh, but give me the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills by a final score. I think it'll be higher scored than that Bills-Chiefs game that we saw earlier in the year when it was 24-20 Buffalo. I'm going to take the Bills win this game 31-28.
Solid score prediction right there.
33-28.
Wow. 33-28. I like that. Okay. Yeah. So for me, I mean, we're going to see a lot of high scoring, as you said. I just think these defenses will be taken out of the equation at certain points. I think there will be some turnovers, some big scores that are made, but I think at the end of the day that the Cincinnati Bengals will be able to take care of business, secure the AFC North tonight, and not only that, really shake up this AFC playoff picture and really make people question the Cincinnati Bengals we saw last year and the Bengals this year and think, is this the next new team to take on these two juggernaut squads in the Chiefs and the Bills? And I think they're going to be able to stand up and say, hey, we're here to dance just as much as you guys are. Because we saw this with the Colts and the Patriots. They were the two juggernauts a long time ago with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. But then you also had teams like the San Diego Chargers, who had Phillip Rivers and LaDainian Tomlinson, some really good Chargers teams that really brought a lot of trouble. And no, they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but I think the Bengals are a different team. Joe Burrow has really proven that not only can he sling it, he's able to keep his team in consistently. He's intelligent. He's smart. He makes adjustments when he needs to, and his defense steps in when it needs to. This team has been able to produce a lot of good not as much comebacks as the Vikings have this year. The Vikings have won too many games based off of comebacks, and that's not sustainable, especially in the postseason. But I think the Bengals are a team that are calm and poised enough where when adversity is called for, they answer that call. And I think they'll be able to do it to the Buffalo Bills tonight. It's going to result in a game-winning drive, a game-scoring touchdown, and the final score of this one will be 35-34 Bengals.
Wow. That is a crazy score prediction, crazy outlook for the game. It's cool that me and you fading each other, get a little sneak peek of what we got to say later. But
yeah,
hey, I really do think the Bengals could win this game. This is a statement game for them. It's a team that some might have said was a fluky team coming out of the AFC last year as the number 4 seed, but these guys are for real. They're legit. That's why they're back this year. And they're a better football team this year, too. So it's this type of game that they win, and people are going to start really putting the Bengals as the class of the AFC. We're saying that. And really marking them as what could be the back-to-back AFC champion. But we'll see. Very excited for this game. It's going to be a great one. But
Yeah.
I like Buffalo. I like Josh Allen on the road in these environments. And, we didn't see Josh Allen and the Bills win a single one-score game last year. We've seen them win a good amount this year. I think he's a lot more improved in the clutch. He's been playing his best football, or not really his best, but, really close to his best. He's pretty much been the same every year.
Josh Allen?
Just, gunslinger. Throws some picks. Obviously, double-digit picks the last few years. He's still Josh Allen. He's still a stud. And I think tonight is when he's going to put the Bills at the top of the AFC. So I feel like the NFL, they want the Ravens to win. They want the Bengals to lose this game. I mean, just have a AFC North showdown next week. And they should have put that in the Sunday night slot. I won't understand why they didn't wait. Why they just didn't wait a day.
Yeah.
2 hours.
Maybe
if the Bills win. If the Bengals win, doesn't matter. But if the Bills win, missed chance by the league.
Absolutely. An absolute miss. I mean, they could always flex it again, but at this point, it's too definitive. It's too put in stone. It's too much in stone at this point. So those are our thoughts for tonight's game, Monday Night Football action. That'll be on at 8:15, I want to say. Let me go take a look.
8:15.
8:30.
8:30.
Yep, 8:30 slot tonight. So definitely excited for that one. Now we'll move into an interesting part. We decided to bring this in since week 18. Usually these last few weeks, we see a lot of scenarios that can happen in terms of who clinches the postseason. How does that all work? Because it's all about seeding. It's all about divisional opponents, matchups, and wins, everything like that, scoring. So we're going to break it down a little bit. I want to take a look at the AFC real quick because right now it is a mess, as you said, in terms of the number 1 seed. Because if the Bengals win tonight, they have a chance to not only take the AFC North, they also have a chance, because they own the tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. This team has a shot to potentially take the number 1 seed if Bills and Chiefs lose the following week. For the Bills, however, this team needs 2 straight wins as of right now because of Kansas City winning. They need to beat the Bengals, and then they also need to beat the Patriots next week in order to secure the number 1 seed.
Yeah. Especially with the Chiefs, with the Bills have the same record as them. It's crazy that 2 of the 3 Chiefs losses have come to the other 2 teams at the top of the AFC. Very unfortunate for them, but this is going to be a fight to who's the best team in the AFC. I mean, Bills really in prime position. I think they're in the driver's seat. I think they're going to take it personally. I really want the Pats to beat the Bills, but I've been saying for weeks that with everything on the line, the Pats just aren't going to win this game.
I just sent you the link to my to the scenario thing that I was looking at.
You really needed the Broncos to beat the Chiefs so that the Bills could have already clinched that 1 seed with the win tonight. Mm-hmm. But hey, this is going to be it's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
and I think the Bills are going to be the ones that take that 1 seed.
Yes, and for the Chiefs, they need the Bills to lose to the Patriots, and the Chiefs need to win out next weekend in order to clinch that number 1 seed. So there's a lot going on there. For the Jags and the Titans, this one is a battle for the AFC South. That's also a great game going on right now. Both Titans basically just wrote off that they were going to lose to Dallas, and Jags ended up winning, sitting at 8-8. So as of right now, 7-9 Titans are below the Jaguars by 1 game, and the Jags are up by 1 after a win this week. If the Titans win, they win the AFC South, they're in the playoffs. If the Jags win, they win the AFC South, and they're in the playoffs. No matter what, one of these teams is getting booted. So that's going to be a great game right there for a Week 18 matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. We got this on Saturday night. That's going to be our Saturday night game is Titans-Jags. I'm very looking forward to this matchup. I think that with everything on the line, the Titans have a really good chance to really upset, not even just Jags fans, but football fans. Because you really want to see this Malik Willis-led Titans team that's the loser of 6 consecutive games, limp into the postseason. Not me. The Jags are looking hot, looking fiery. It's in Jacksonville in prime time. This is the biggest game of Trevor Lawrence's career so far, and I think he's going to pull through. This is a guy this year, 24 touchdowns, 8 picks, having himself, I think 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, having himself a good season. Really looking good this year, and he's built for this moment. I mean, he's done it in college, he's done it in high school. Didn't lose the game in high school. Only lost once in college, and I really think this twice in college. Excuse me. I really think this could be it, and it has to be it for Trevor Lawrence. He's gonna pull it out. This Jags team has been one of the hottest teams in football, one of the hottest teams in the AFC specifically.
Yeah,
and Trevor Lawrence is a big reason why, and I think that they're gonna win this one. They already beat the Titans. They already stomped on the Titans the first time they played them. So,
yeah, I definitely am going to take the Jags myself. I just think what we've seen in the second half of the season from them is nothing short of just the coaching staff finally being able to get their reins on the team. And not only that, the team getting the reins of just their finger on the pulse, their tempo, their rhythm. The defense has stepped up. Trevor Lawrence is literally just, he's blowing me away. Each week, he finds a new guy in that offense to really go to. It's Christian Kirk one week, Zay Jones the next week, Evan Ingram the following week. He is just finding ways to get the opening and get the ball to these certain playmakers. And this Jags team is built very good. It's crazy that not even a year after we were like, this is a rebuild team. Like, this is a team that's like going to take at least 3 to 4 seasons to get good. They are proving they could do it in just 2 and make it to the postseason. That's bizarre to me. You get a franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. You get back Travis Etienne after being out the following season, and then sign some decent players in the offseason. This team's set and ready to go for a potential playoff push.
And you get a competent head coach that's not Urban Meyer,
Absolutely. So this guy,
Doug Peterson.
And the great thing is that unit really, like, the Jags love him. Like, they said in interviews, they're like, I'll go run into battle with that man. He is just great.
I remember that one.
But the Titans in Mike Vrabel also have a very strong connection there in terms of the way he's been able to coach this team. This team's won the AFC South the last 3 years, I want to say, and 2 back-to-back years they've been able to win.
3 years in a row, though.
Yeah, so this team is no stranger to the postseason. However, we're talking about a much different Titans unit, one that is solely going through the helm of Derrick Henry, who they benched last week with a hip pointer injury that didn't really seem it was that serious, but they were like, this game means nothing in the long run. We're going to just hope for the best next week. We control the destiny at that point. So, for this team, they really need to put it together in terms of how are we going to be able to, really pull this out, because there's really no one in that offense to throw to. And now you're asking Joshua Dobbs to basically take on the responsibility of Ryan Tannehill. That is definitely the most unfortunate part of this, that they have to go with a guy who isn't that experienced in the league. And I don't really see the Titans taking this one. I don't. I just think the Jags have too much built for them. And this could be a blowout for all I know, to be honest.
I think it'll be a close, low-scoring game. Definitely one of those games that scream and take the under on. For a Titans-Jags game, Mike Vrabel's going to play some ground and pound football. He's going to put up a good scheme together like he always does in these winner-go-home games. But, hey, I'm really liking the Jaguars for similar reasons. I mean, the Titans are beat up. They're banged up. Not the same team as they were last year, the team that was the number 1 seed in the AFC last year.
Yeah.
That's the reason why the Jaguars are 6.5-point favorites right now. They're a touchdown favorite. So, people are liking the Jags. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that, though. But I'm giving the Jags as that number 4 seed in the AFC. They're probably the Chargers will be their first round matchup, but it could be the Bengals. Could be the Bengals or Ravens too, depending on how AFC North goes in the next week.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. That should be definitely a very interesting game. I can't wait to tune in on that one. Then the final thing to go over in the AFC is the 7th seed wild card scenarios, because we got 4 teams that are eligible to make the playoffs: the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Steelers. The Patriots, Dolphins, Steelers, and Jaguars, and Titans, I guess, in this case. But you already know the thing with that. So we'll talk about those 3 teams. Patriots, they need to win at the Bills or a Dolphins loss over the Jets. And Steelers loss versus the Browns, and a Jaguars win over the Titans if they don't win out. If the Patriots win, they're in. That's all they need is a win to get into the postseason. For the Dolphins, they need a win over the Jets and the Patriots to fall to the Bills. That's a likely scenario too.
Yeah.
That could also happen. However, then you got Pittsburgh. They need a win over the Browns, and they need a combination of the Dolphins to lose to the Jets and the Patriots to lose to the Bills. That was a huge win for them last night over Baltimore, 16-13 victory. Mike Tomlin really trying to push for that eternal winning season that he's just been able to put up since his start in the league. Mike Tomlin, hands down, one of the best coaches in football, I have to say. He's been able to put it together with teams every single year. And despite even last season when we saw a very mediocre offense and a very aging, on the cusp of retirement, Ben Roethlisberger, and now you bring in a rookie quarterback who was a part of the worst rookie draft class for quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett was probably the best one out of the bunch. And he's somehow able to potentially have another postseason berth. And not only that, finish above 500.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, this team was 2-7, I believe, or 2-6 actually. And they've won some good big games to really crawl out of the mud. Steelers, like you mentioned, I mean, a team that's not had a losing record since 2003. Still, that streak is alive through 17 weeks of, really is a rebuilding year for Pittsburgh. So crazy they're still in the picture. Like you mentioned, all the scenarios. Pats winning, they're in. Dolphins need a Patriots loss along with a win, and Steelers need pretty much that summed up. Losses from both two and a win. But Jaguars, I'm not even really talking about that 17 scenario because they need a win and a loss from all three of those teams. So their destiny is going to lie on Saturday night, really. But hey, I really don't think it depends who's starting for the Dolphins though, because Dolphins really could lose that game to the Jets. It is at home. I think it's a must-win game for a guy like Mike McDaniel, hoping to scheme up a game-winning game plan. But I think the AFC, I think the 7th seed is going to Miami. To be completely honest, sucks.
Unfortunately,
they have to beat the Jets. I think they're going to do that. But once we get more word, actually, let me look it up, dude. I don't think Tua is gonna play.
Dude, did you ever see that picture earlier this year of some guy who predicted that the Jets were gonna make it to the AFC Championship game and finish at 11-6?
Yeah, yeah.
That was one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. Like, he
Tua
got it right.
Tua's unlikely to play, and Teddy Bridgewater is hopeful to play. So, hey, actually, give me that to the Pats. Give me the Pats. But I would not be surprised if Pittsburgh did it. This is one of the crazier landscapes we've seen. Patriots, they would need a loss from both Pittsburgh and Miami if they lose.
Yeah.
So that Pittsburgh win really hurt the Patriots the other day.
Yeah, absolutely. They would also need the Jaguars to beat the Titans. That's the other.
Who?
The Pats. The Pats would need the Jaguars to also win.
Wouldn't they need the
Well, because the Jaguars, they would need a loss.
They need the Titans to beat the Jaguars.
Yeah, but this is where the Jaguars, I actually just read on. This is what the Jaguars need if they lose to the Titans to get in. Like, they could still get in potentially. Basically, the way it would happen is if they lose to the Titans, they would need losses from all three teams, Patriots, Steelers, Dolphins, in order to get in. They would be the final seed if they lose. So Jags could also sneak in off of a loss.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They would need all three teams to lose, however. So the 7th seed in the AFC, it's honestly up in the air. I want the Patriots to get in, but they're going to need a lot of help, and the Jags need to win.
Yeah, sure do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fight.
So the AFC definitely looking very interesting. That's our conclusion on that part. We'll go to the NFC really quick and take a look at that. Eagles, the number 1 seed right now in football. However, there is some interesting developments with that because right now, with the loss yesterday, the Eagles are now only 1 game up on the Cowboys. Cowboys now have potential to take the NFC East. And I don't know if they potentially take the number 1 seed off that, though,
They
however.
would take. I think they would.
They
Maybe
could.
I think the Niners are still in play.
Yeah. So basically, number 1 seed, the only way the Eagles can clinch is with a win or a tie over the Giants. They would also need a Cowboys loss or tie against the Commanders and a 49ers loss or tie versus the Cardinals if they weren't to beat the Giants or tie with them. Niners, they would clinch any of the following with a win versus the Cardinals and an Eagles loss versus the Giants in order to clinch the number 1 seeds. The Cowboys have no potential to clinch the number 1 seed as of this point. The Niners do. That's the only team that has the potential to. But the Cowboys could clinch the NFC East with a win over the, well, actually, no, they could clinch the number 1 seed too, actually. Never mind. They will with a win at the Commanders, but they'd also need the Giants and the Niners to lose. They would need the Niners to lose or tie in order to clinch the number 1 seed. And in fact, also clinch the NFC East.
Yeah. Possible scenarios. I don't see the Cowboys getting that 1 seed. They're going to be locked in that 5 seed and go on to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card round.
Who they lost to in week 1.
They lost to in week 1. Don't forget. But honestly, I think the Birds are going to get the number 1 seed. They've lost their last 2 in a row. They've had chances the last 2 weeks, but have choked it pretty badly. But Jalen Hurts coming back this week, coming up against the Giants team that they just absolutely destroyed in MetLife Stadium as well, 48-22. Being at home for week 18, don't want to lose back-to-back home games to end the season in any situation. I think Jalen Hurts, has something to say about his former MVP race that was looking to be in his favor just a few weeks ago before his injury, and now, trying to capitalize this season off with a great mark and clinch the number 1 seed, have the NFC playoffs run through Philadelphia. But if the Eagles do lose, I don't see the Niners losing the Cardinals. That Cardinals team is beat up, banged up, and they kind of suck. So
yeah, they're very dysfunctional.
I think the Niners are pretty much locked in at the 2 seed in the NFC, and they're going to play that 7 seed in the first round, which we'll get to in a sec. But yeah, give me the Niners. Give me the Eagles getting home field advantage throughout the playoffs because, Giants already clinched as well. They might rest their starters because they're pretty much locked in. They actually are locked in at the 6 seed, so they can't move their position at all.
Yeah, but who knows? I feel like they would potentially try and
it's an Eagles-Giants game, gonna have some rivalry.
It's a good rivalry.
So they might. I was thinking about that earlier today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's any way they win that game in Philly with nothing to play for. If they're getting destroyed early, they're just gonna take their guys out,
Yeah.
So
that should be an interesting matchup. We'll see how things go and who may take the number 1 seed, because that's really the wildest theory going on in the NFCs. Who could potentially take it? But all roads, to be honest, really lead through Philly. It's really no question at this point. But now we move to the 7th seed, because that's the only thing we need to figure out here. There are 3 teams. They're on the doorstep of potentially taking that final spot in the NFC playoff picture. The Packers, the Lions, and the Seahawks. For the Packers, they control their own destiny. They've won 4 straight games in the last 4 weeks, and this team has really turned it around in terms of their production. Aaron Rodgers has finally gotten his pulse on that offense, making connections all over the place to Cobb, to Watson, to Tunyon, to Dobbs, to Jones. He's finally starting to get the cusp on it. And then for the defense, being led there, I just like what I see out of them. They played phenomenal these past few weeks. They managed to shut down the high-scoring Minnesota Vikings offense and put 42 points on them. Crazy. Minnesota definitely one of the lesser good defenses in this league, I should say. Or you know what I mean.
You'd say worst.
Probably one of the worst, without a doubt. Like pretty mid. They've shown up in certain categories, but they give up a ton of yards. So at the end of the day, Lions go to Lambeau. It couldn't have been written any better. Rodgers, everybody was kind of writing him off this year, being like, this guy's a bum. He's literally, he's like, the team sucks. They needed Adams all this time. But hey, he might sneak in. It might be a Cinderella story coming for the Green Bay Packers, and this franchise may be able to keep its hopes up in terms of we don't really need to rebuild right now. We've got a good team, we got a good unit, and we got a potential for the future, even though Rodgers is aging. And Rodgers is securing his legacy as one of the greats of all time at the quarterback position. However, the Lions also need a win. They play the Packers. The only way they clinch the postseason is if they beat Green Bay in Lambeau. They need the Seahawks loss or tie over the Rams, or they need to tie the Packers and the Seahawks to lose to the Rams, or tie the Packers and the Rams and Seahawks tie and Commanders win over the Cowboys.
So
that's a
lot
lot
of scenarios, but
yeah.
Honestly, I think everyone knows who's getting the number 7 seed. It's one of the hottest teams in the NFC, probably the hottest team in the NFC right now. It's going to be the Green Bay Packers. If the Lions, are already out of the picture by the 8:30 game, by virtue of a Seahawks win earlier in the day, then they're going to just be pissed that they're even in this primetime game. They're going to want to just spoil Aaron Rodgers' season. This great run that they've had has been kind of uncanny.
Yeah.
Actually, it's been pretty common. And we saw it back in 2016 when the Packers were 4-6.
Oh, yeah.
Finished with 6 straight wins, rolling into the playoffs with ease. But I think that they're going to do the same thing tomorrow or Sunday night. Being at home in prime time, I don't know if there's any other way to do it if you're Aaron Rodgers. And I wouldn't want to bet against him, but Lions are going to give a fight. Seahawks are going to give a fight to the Rams. And I hope just for the sake of Aaron Rodgers just already being the golden boy of the NFL, getting this prime time winning in spot for him, that I just hope the Rams beat the Seahawks earlier in the day if the Packers are going to win this game, because I want this game to mean something. I want a team with everything on the line. I don't want to see the Lions just play, upset when they already out of the picture, So I want to see something intense, basically.
Absolutely. I agree. And I mean, for the Seahawks, the final team to potentially clinch that 7th seed, they need to defeat the Rams, and they need the Packers to lose or tie over the Lions in order to secure that final playoff spot. They've definitely got a lot of hope on their side, but the best odds go with the Packers, who only just need one win to get in. The other scenario is the Seahawks would need to tie against the Rams, and the Packers and Lions to tie, and the Commanders to lose or tie to the Cowboys. So regardless, at the end of the day, in this one, I'm taking Green Bay as well. They've just been set up in a good position. They control the way these playoffs move. They need to win. And as you said, hey, the Lions are completely eliminated if the Seahawks win over the Rams, which is more than likely to happen. The Rams have just been a very lackluster unit, but the Rams could play for spoils. It's a lot of spoils around the league regardless. But Lions, I think they're going to play this team tough. Lions have just really turned into a really good, tough football squad, and they're exciting. I'm really excited to see what they do next year, because it's kind of nice to see Detroit actually kind of like take a step forward. They've been a mediocre franchise.
Sure is. This is a team that was 1-6 to start the season too. They've had an excellent run, winning 7 of their last 9, and really shouldn't even have been in this position. So it's great for Detroit. Really hope that they are in a position to just fight for their playoff berth. They deserve to be being in this night game. So, everything's going to come down to that 7th seed. It's probably it's probably a lot funner than that AFC 7th seed, though.
Yeah, it is.
These are 3 teams that people, didn't expect either before the year or during the year. I mean, everyone had wrote off the Packers at 4-8. No one really thought Seattle or Detroit would be in this position before the season. So, it's one of those things where if I told you back in week 1 that this would happen, you wouldn't believe it. And it's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Green Bay's going to take it, though. Because they have the easiest pass, and they have and they have the best quarterback out of the 3. So, give me the pack.
Give me the pack. So that concludes our playoff clinching scenarios here. We're going to move into the final segment, our locks and upsets. We're basically going to tell you what they were. We didn't have the time last week to sit down and do an episode on Thursday. We will this week. Hold us to it, please, because it's ridiculous that we keep missing it. But, it is what it is. We get busy in that regard. So, locks and upsets. We made these picks yesterday before kickoff, and There's some good ones. One of them we talked about earlier, so we got that out of the way. Duffy, you're locked this week, and then I'll tell my upset.
My lock. I mean, I have the Bills tonight.
And I have the Bengals for my upset.
And we got into it a little bit, like you said, but I think the Bills are going to win this game. Going to be a lot of offense. And they were -1 yesterday. Everyone's liking the Bills. They're up to -2.5 right now. And this game means a lot for them. So, give me Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I keep it on that original spread of -1. I see the Bengals making a game-winning drive to win the game 35-34, and it will really shake up the playoff picture in the AFC and really push people's thoughts of the Bengals as this is a legit Super Bowl contender in terms of the AFC. Not only just that, the NFL itself. So give me the Bengals in that one. Now, for my lock this week, I took the Packers over the Vikings. No surprise there. Packers really were kind of the favorites in this one, being at home only -3. And they covered the spread and some. I mean, 42-17, an absolute demolition of the Minnesota Vikings in ramped to get one step closer to clinching that 7th seed.
Oh yeah, the Packers. Yeah, that was a good bet. I also had the Packers yesterday too. But that was a good job by you picking it because I really almost thought you were going to take the Vikings as your upset. So
absolutely,
that would have been pretty square.
Yeah, and your upset was a pretty good one too.
Upset was pretty good. The Geno Smith revenge tour is officially over. Knocked off the Chargers, Giants, and the Jets. I had the Seahawks +1.5 at home. It was a must-win game for them.
That's so awesome. He got to play all 3 of the teams he was rostered on.
Yeah, it was pretty lit. So had to take him going 3 for 3, and he did. He did for me. So big win. It was a must-needed win. It was a blowout. Jets never had a chance that game.
Yeah, they really didn't. And they showed signs of productivity this season, but there's just not enough there yet. They've definitely got some great sparks out of Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, even Mike White, surprisingly. Mike White's really kind of come out of nowhere, but the quarterback situation in New York is just a very tricky situation. Even its running back core, very difficult to look at. But that defense, it's legit. It's a good defense to look at when it's healthy. And the offense, they just need to capitalize on some extra pieces, and this team could be very competitive next season in the AFC East.
Sure could. And I'm excited for them. Very looking forward to the Jets next year, especially with some good quarterback play. But, hey, they kind of just blew their season away, losing their last 5 games, but it's just typical good old-fashioned New York Jet football.
Absolutely, and the Patriots, once again, swept them in the divisional race this year, so that's also something to look at and be happy that they are still in the bottom of the AFC East. Jets, you enjoy that spot. You basically already not even rented it. You didn't even take a mortgage out of it. You own it. It's yours for hopefully ever. Hopefully forever in that regard.
Forever, man.
But that concludes this week's episode of Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. We'll give you more updates on the New England Patriots and their matchup against the Buffalo Bills next week, including more locks and upsets picks and top players of the week, of course, from week 17. But until then, this is Chet and Duffy signing off, and we will catch you all next time. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Pats.
Go Pats, baby.